Please stay standing. We're going to have the Pledge of Allegiance momentarily. The Senate will come to order. Senator Merrifield.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Majors, please call the roll.
Senators Aguilar, Aguilar,
Absent.
Balmer,
I'm still working on it. Absent.
Baumgardner, Carroll, Cook, Crowder, Donovan, Garcia, Grantham, Guzman, Heath, Hill, Hodge, Holbert, John, Johnston, Jones, Kafalis, Kerr, Lambert, Lundberg, Marble, Martinez Humenic, Merrifield, Neville, Newell, Roberts, Scheffel, Scott, Sonnenberg, Stedman, Todd, Ulibarri, Woods, Aguilar, Balmer.
With 35 present, 0 absent, 0 excused, we have a quorum. Senator Woods.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the reading of the journal from February 18th be dispensed with and the journal be approved as corrected by the Secretary.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The journal is approved. That motion was adopted. Senator Scheffel.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would move that the Senate proceed out of order for various moments of personal privilege, starting with Senator.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The Senate will proceed out of order for a multitude of things. Senator Garcia.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I ask for a moment of personal privilege.
Granted.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President and colleagues, I would like to acknowledge our good friends from Leadership Pueblo who are associated with the Pueblo Greater Chamber who are here today to also join me in recognizing the Colorado State University Pueblo football team for their national championship. The Colorado State University of Pueblo men's football team has won the NCAA Division II national championships, and the Thunderwolves capped off a great season by defeating the undefeated Minnesota State. So, yes, it's with that.
Senator Crowder.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also like to acknowledge the football Division II champions. You know, Pueblo has made us very proud in the sports arena, and it's quite an accomplishment for Southern Colorado. But if you would actually join me in welcoming the Pueblo leadership team, I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Senator Woods.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to ask you to join me in welcoming my sister, who is here this morning, Jolene Linke, and my niece, Juliette Linke. They're here as part of the Team Pact group that's been meeting across the street this week, and they're actually from Senate District 8. So
Awesome. Senator Baumgardner.
Thank you, Mr. President. And in that same group, we have 2 honor roll winners from Winter Park Christian School, and they're also with Team Pact. Ladies, if you'd stay, they are standing. Can we welcome them?
Senator Lundberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. At the risk of being gavelled, I'd simply say that Teen Pac's a great group that's been coming down to this area once a year for the last 20 years, and it was my privilege to actually help get that going back in the 90s. These are young people who are trained in the process of our government and to be good citizens, and I encourage you all to check them out and encourage it. Thank you.
Mr. Majority Leader. We're finished? Committee reports.
February 18, 2015, Committee on Judiciary. After consideration, the Mayor's Committee recommends the following. House Bill 1021 be referred to Committee of the Whole. Favorable recommendation. February 18, 2015, Committee on Judiciary. After consideration, the Mayor's Committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 20 be amended as follows and as so amended be referred to the Committee on Appropriations with favorable recommendation. February 18, 2015, Mr. President, the Committee on Judiciary has had under consideration as at a hearing on the following appointments and recommends the appointments be placed on the consent calendar and confirmed. Members of the State Board of Parole for terms expiring July 1st, 2017, Denise K. Balazic of Aurora, Colorado, serves as a parole or probation representative reappointed. Alfredo Enrique Pena of Denver, Colorado, serves as a citizen representative reappointed. February 18, 2015, Mr. President, the Committee on Judiciary has had under consideration as at a hearing on the following appointments, recommends the appointments be placed on the consent calendar and confirmed. Executive Director of the Department of Public Safety, effective June 16, 2014, for a term expiring at the pleasure of the Governor, Stanley Allen Hilke of Palisade, Colorado, and occasioned by the resignation of James H. Davis of Westminster, Colorado, appointed. February 18, 2015, Mr. President, the Committee on Judiciary has had under consideration and has had hearing on the following appointments, recommends that the appointments be placed on the consent calendar and confirmed. Member of the Juvenile Parole Board for a term expiring November 15, 2018, Dennis Raymond Desperoy of Denver, Colorado, serves as a representative from the Colorado Department of Human Services and occasioned by the resignation of Daniel L. Casey of Thornton, Colorado, appointed. February 18, 2015, Committee on Health and Human Services. After consideration on the Mayor's Committee recommends the following. House Bill 1023 be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation with the recommendation be placed on the consent calendar. February 18, 2015, Committee on State Veterans and Military Affairs. After consideration on the Mayor's Committee recommends the following. Senate Joint Resolution 8 be amended as follows and as so amended be referred out to the Senate for final action with the recommendation be placed on the consent calendar. February 18, 2015, Mr. President, the Committee on Business, Labor, and Technology has had under consideration as at a hearing on the following appointments and recommends the appointments be placed on the consent calendar and confirmed. Members of the Board of Assessment Appeals for terms expiring July 1st, 2015, Sandra Winterhoff Mercer of Westminster, Colorado, appointed. Mary Kay Kelly of Silverthorne, Colorado, reappointed. Ann Louisa Maricel of Denver, Colorado, reappointed. Greg A. Neer of Lakewood, Colorado, reappointed.
Senate Services.
February 19th, 2015, correctly printed, Senate Bills 184 and 185, correctly engrossed, Senate Bills 18, 32, 64, 103, 105, 111, 115, and 119, correctly re-engrossed, Senate Bills 15, 116, and 128, correctly revised, House Bill 1039 and House Joint Resolution 1014.
Introduction of memorials.
Senate Memorial 1 by Senator Johnston concerning memorializing former Senator Regis Groff.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move that Senate Memorial 1 lay over to February 23rd.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Senate Memorial 1 will lay over until Monday, February 23rd. Third reading of bills consent. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title of all the bills on the third reading of bills consent calendar? Colleagues, we are in third reading now.
Senate Bill 111 by Senator Lambert and Representative Hamner concerning the continuous appropriation to the Department of Education of monies in the Educator Licensure Cash Fund. House Bill 1039 by Representative Tyler and Senator Neville concerning the donation of prescription medications by licensed healthcare facilities. Senate Bill 103 by Senator Lundberg and Representative Becker K concerning continuation of the Compliance Advisory Panel in connection therewith implementing the recommendations of the Department of Regulatory Agencies as contained in the 2014 Sunset Report.
Majority Leader Scheffel.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate adopt third reading of bills Final passage consent calendar, which includes Senate Bill 111, House Bill 1039, and Senate Bill 103.
Is there further discussion on any of the bills on the third reading of bills consent calendar? Are there any no votes on any of the bills on the third reading of bills consent calendar? With 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 111 is adopted. Co-sponsors. With 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1039 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Senator Kafalis, Majority Leader Scheffel, Senator Woods, Senator Aguilar, Senator Lundberg, Senator Heath, Senator Jones, Senator Martinez-Humenick, Senator Neville, Senator Todd, Senator Baumgardner, Senator Roberts, Senator Scott, Senator Kerr, Senator Merrifield, Senator Crowder, Senator Newell, Senator Cook, Senator John, Senator Garcia. Co-sponsors. Senator Johnston. Please add the President. Too late, Senator Grantham. Senator Grantham. With 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 103 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Senator Newell, Senator Aguilar, third reading of bills. Mr. Majors, please read the title of Senate Bill 18.
Senate Bill 18 by Senator Neville and Representative Neville concerning the repeal of the late vehicle registration fee.
Senator Neville.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move Senate Bill 18 and ask for an aye vote.
Is there further discussion? Senator Heath.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yesterday I blinked and the gavel came down and I missed my chance to speak on second reading, and I apologize for that, my bad. So I wanted to avail myself of the opportunity on third reading. Transportation funding is an issue that we've all dealt with. As a rookie in my freshman year of 2009, the very, very first bill of any consequence that came before us then was what we then called and still call the FASTER bill, presented by Dan Gibbs. I was sitting in the back next to Dan and was somewhat mesmerized by the process, because it was the first time I saw some really truly debate in this chamber on a bill of major consequence. That debate ended up in the passage of Senate Bill 09-108, and we have been living under it ever since. I had the privilege of chairing the Senate Transportation Committee a couple of years back, and we toured the state at that time and had the privilege of talking to a lot of county commissioners around the state who basically praised what we had done, and it said if it weren't for Senate Bill 108, they would have had very, very dire consequences with their county roads and bridges. The truth of the matter is that CDOT's budget has decreased from $1.6 billion in 2007 to $1.2 billion in 2013. That's thanks to cars that we're driving today with much greater gas mileage. I bought a hybrid the year that I came to the Senate, and bought it actually in December of 2008, and that car got twice the mileage that the one I was driving previously. And yet what I was doing to the roads driving did not change. But the revenue that the state realized obviously was in half. When FASTER passed in 2009, the state reported having 128 bridges rated structurally deficient or obsolete. At the close of 2013, 68 FASTER-funded bridges have been repaired or replaced. 10 were in construction, 4 designs were completed, 26 were in the design stage, and 22 had not been scheduled. And these projects are distributed throughout the state, and I would dare say that all of us in our Senate districts have been the beneficiaries, our districts have been the beneficiaries of this funding. And as we all know, the flooding, the historic flooding of 2013 put further burden on CDOT, and 120 bridges and 242 miles were damaged during that time. I would think that no one in this chamber would argue that FASTER has been an overwhelming success, both in the rural and urban areas throughout Colorado. Road and bridge safety is a core responsibility of government, and neglecting it by underfunding is a serious safety risk for Coloradans and visitors to our state. And it is obvious that CDOT depends heavily on registration fees to keep our roads and bridges in good condition, and we should not make paying them on time optional. In my mind, repealing all or parts of FASTER would accomplish little except slowing down the vitality of necessary improvements to our transportation system. FASTER and this bill, if we passed Senate Bill 018, would both reduce transportation funding and at the same time reward people for being late in paying their vehicle registration. It goes without saying that every one of us depends on our transportation system, and as a person who's been in business in this state for over 40 years, business relies heavily on our logistics and transportation system, whether it's for travel, commuting to work, food deliveries, tourism, and in my case, when we were making manufactured products, metal products, it was imperative. Our largest customer was in Pueblo, and we drove those roads every day between Denver and Pueblo, delivering goods to the train manufacturing plant in Pueblo. We need our system to be safe and reliable, and in my opinion, cutting transportation funding and repealing aspects of Tabor would be the wrong move, and at the wrong time. I would ask for a no vote.
Further discussion on Senate Bill 18. Senator Lundberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. I believe it's imperative that we have a discussion on this to understand what we have before us with Senate Bill 18. Senate Bill 18 is dealing with probably the most unjust portion of the FASTER bill. I mean, you can make a lot of argument on how the fees were really a tax. That's why I've always called it the car tax. But this bill, Senate Bill 18, deals with the vehicle, the penalty for late registration. And the perversity of that, I mean, I remember when the FASTER bill went through, the people who called from my district and explained how difficult or really impossible this was making it for them. I remember a gentleman from Fort Collins called me. Fortunately, it was in the summer that he called, and he said, I can't afford to register my vehicle because the price of it was such a regressive tax. Prior to FASTER, if you had an older vehicle, your annual registration fee was maybe $25, $35. Well, now it at least doubled that year, and then it went up higher beyond that. Well, this one guy called me, and he said, I can't afford to register my vehicle. Cannot. I can save about $25 a month towards this. And the perversity is every month I miss, I'm $25 more in the hole because of this late penalty fee. As I say, fortunately it was in the summer so he could ride his bike to work. But I had no answer to him except this is a bad law. Well, 18 fixes this. Or I'm reminded of another gentleman just west of Berthoud who called me. That's where I live. I'm west of Berthoud, too. I think it was a mile or two further. He was an older gentleman. He said, I believe he said at that time he was 77 years old, somewhere right in that range. And he said he had 6 or 7 vehicles that he kept that were just a part of his history in his life. And he said, I cannot afford to keep these. And if I let them slide, I can't afford to pay the late penalty fee on it. Or I'm reminded of another gentleman who spoke to me about the late penalties. Actually, he lived on the western slope, but you'd recognize his name. He used to serve in the General Assembly, and then he went on to serve in other legislative bodies east of here, you might say. And he noted that the late penalty fee is so expensive that it might not even be worth registering the vehicle if it's an older one that doesn't have much value, and he actually had something of that sort. This is fixing a wrong that was put in place. And let's talk about transportation funding, because that is important. I believe that's the most important function of state government, is to ensure that we have a good, solid infrastructure. And sure, we've got a lot of other priorities. But if you want one at the top, I'll put roads. Why was FASTER put in place? Because we took away Senate Bill 1 dollars that had been in place for many years that poured transportation or general fund money into transportation. Well, we took that away. We stole that and spent it elsewhere. And that's the dilemma, is we continue to spend it elsewhere. If we take away this most unjust portion of the FASTER bill through Senate Bill 18, sure, I think we have the obligation to stop spending money everywhere else and start getting serious with transportation funding. But let's not play these shell games where what we're really doing is penalizing those who can least afford it with a most unjust penalty. Let's get serious with how we fund state government. Set the priorities right. Please vote yes on Senate Bill 18.
Senator Newell.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yesterday on seconds, this went by so fast that some of us didn't get to come up and speak about it. I wanted to also echo my opposition for this bill because this was a big issue in my area when it first came about, because Representative Joe Rice is or was formerly a representative in my own district, one of my representatives. And so I heard about this consistently at our town halls, and as the bill was going through the process, I heard from constituents about the ramifications. And there are some who believe that Joe Rice is no longer in office because of the bill that he first passed. Although I would disagree with that, there are those in my district who vehemently opposed this. And then there are those who vehemently supported this. But since then, and since it has been in place, I have now had many of those constituents come back to me saying, you know what, we were wrong. We were wrong in telling you not to vote for that. Because they were able to see the lists and lists of projects that were funded so that we wouldn't have another Minnesota bridge in our state, that we got to hear from actually at one of our town halls. We had one of the employees come up who would tell us from the inside story that the bridges that the employees would avoid, that they wouldn't even drive on because they were so dangerous. When I heard that, and a few of them were in my district, I started to avoid those bridges until they were repaired. That's not a way to run a government. And so I stand in opposition to this bill in support of those who are responsible and have a whole year to pay to come up with their registration dollars. They have a whole year to come up with their registration fees. And then an additional month, 30 window day time frame in order to get beyond even that. I think that we can all be responsible adults and come up with our registration fees on time so that we can have infrastructure that is safe. But even if you can't, then thank you for your late fee to pay the dangerous bridges and roads repair. So I stand in opposition and in honor of my former representative, Joe Rice.
Senator Neville.
Based upon what we just heard, I'm trying to understand, these are not, I talked to a lot of people through the campaign, and I can tell you not one single person that I ran into said, out of 20,000 probably houses that we called or knocked on their doors, said, Senator, those faster fees, we love them. It was just the opposite. It was just the opposite. They said they're an egregious tax. And in particular, they said the late vehicle fee is the most egregious tax. I'm not going to call it a fee. The Colorado Supreme Court may call it a fee, but what is a fee? A fee is designed to basically support a process. There is no cost to Colorado for late vehicle registration. If I have a vehicle that is off the road due to whatever reason, first of all, that does not make me a bad person. That does not make me an irresponsible person. We heard from a number of people. And by the way, to my esteemed senator from Boulder, Colorado Counties Incorporated supports this bill. NFIB supports this bill. Colorado Commercial Carriers supports this bill. The Colorado Collective Car Association supports this bill. And the Colorado Farm Bureau supports this bill. We have a number of people that may have late vehicle tax assigned to them due to various reasons. They may have a vehicle that is in repair. They may have a vehicle that they just purchased if it's a collector's vehicle. To brand those people as irresponsible is, in my opinion, not being correct. We can do better than this. We spend $15 million out of CDOT every year on transit grants. Oh yes, they go to every district. It's a major slush fund. We spend almost $4 million for circle buses to RTD, but we pay an RTD tax. Meanwhile, every time I go down Broadway, I hit pothole after pothole after pothole. The issue here is not if we're getting enough money. We are not getting enough money for roads and bridges. We need more, and we're going to have a backfill. CDOT tells me they're expecting $50 million into roads and bridges this year. My question for this body is, how much are we going to waste or turn into different areas for either political gain or possibly just for pet projects? Let's fix the roads and bridges, but let's not continue this most egregious tax in a year when we have an opportunity to basically rescind it and show the people of Colorado good faith. And I want to note, too, we have competition, friends. We have competition around Colorado. This little map, you see a lot of green all around Colorado? Those are all the states that surround us that either have no late vehicle fee or no late vehicle penalty or such a small penalty of less than $5. Colorado stands out alone as a place that is not friendly to do business. We talked to the young lady at the Laramie County in Wyoming, and she told me, frankly, she didn't want to see us repeal this late vehicle fee because she gets a lot of commercial vehicles that come up there and register every year. All they need is an address, and we lose that business. Friends, I renew my request for an aye vote.
Is there further discussion on Senate Bill 18? Are there any no votes? Minority Leader Carroll, Senator Heath, Senator Kafalis, Senator Aguilar, Senator Guzman, Senator Ulibarri, Senator John, Senator John Stunn, Senator Garcia, Senator Merrifield, Senator Todd, Senator Jones, Senator Donovan, Senator Kerr, Senator Newell, Senator Stedman, Senator Hodge, with 18 ayes, 17 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 18 is adopted. Co-sponsors: Majority Leader Scheffel, Senator Lundberg, Senator Woods, Senator Marble, Senator Crowder, Senator Lambert, Senator Grantham, Senator Cook, Senator Scott, Senator Hill, Senator Baumgardner, Senator Roberts, Senator Balmer, Senator Holbert, Senator Sonnenberg. Co-sponsors: please have the President. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title of Senate Bill 32?
Senate Bill 32 by Senator Marble and Representative Ransom concerning allowing a law-abiding person to carry a concealed handgun without a permit and in connection therewith preserving current law restricting the carrying of concealed handguns on certain property, including school grounds, and reducing appropriations.
Senator Marble.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move Senate Bill 32 on third reading and final passage and ask for an aye vote.
Is there further discussion on Senate Bill 32? Senator Newell.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wasn't going to speak on this today. However, last night I got 2 emails from 2 constituents of mine, and I just had to share them because, excuse me, I thought that they were so interesting for a different perspective. And this one gentleman from Inglewood emailed me and said, "While I am not a supporter of yours, and although I am a member of the NRA, I do not support Senate Bill 32. While every citizen of the United States is allowed under the provisions of the Second Amendment to the Constitution to keep and bear arms, it is neither reasonable nor prudent to allow everyone to carry a concealed firearm on a whim. While I fully support allowing anyone to do so who meets the requirements to obtain a concealed handgun permit, I do not feel that everyone should be allowed to carry a firearm without that minimal standard of training. While I have used and been trained in the use of firearms since I was a young man and spent 26 years in the uniform of the Army of the United States, I would not presume to carry a concealed firearm without at least a minimum of training in the laws of the United States and the state of Colorado. I do not object to the background provisions of the permitting process." And then another gentleman, also a constituent, "Dear Senator Newell, I saw in the news that this was being considered. As a gun owner myself and as someone from a family with early settler roots, I am definitely not against firearms. With that said, having folks conceal carry with no permit seems like a very bad idea to me. The training received while getting a permit is minimal, but better than nothing and needed by most. From my vantage point, this will have bad consequences, and I hope it will not pass. I just wanted to share that from two of my constituents who evidently aren't necessarily supportive of me, but definitely not supportive of Senate Bill 32.
Further discussion on Senate Bill 32? Are there any no votes? Minority Leader Carroll, Senator Heath, Senator Kafalis, Senator Garcia, Senator Aguilar, Senator Guzman, Senator Stedman, Senator Merrifield, Senator Donovan, Senator Jones, Senator John, Senator Johnston, Senator Todd, Senator Kerr, Senator Ulibarri, Senator Hodge, Senator Newell. With 18 ayes, 17 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 32 is adopted. Co-sponsors: Senator Baumgardner, Majority Leader Scheffel, Senator Holbert, Senator Grantham, Senator Lambert, Senator Holbert again, Senator Cook, Senator Sonnenberg, Senator Balmer, Senator Neville, Senator Scott, Senator Lundberg, Senator Hill, Senator Woods, Senator Crowder. Co-sponsors: please add the President. Mr. Majors, please read the title of Senate Bill 105.
Senate Bill 105 by Senator Martinez, Humanic, and Representative Primavera, concerning the continuation of the regulation of respiratory therapists by the Director of the Division of Professions and Occupations in the Department of Regulatory Agencies in connection therewith implementing the recommendations of the Department in its sunset review and report on the profession.
Senator Martinez Humanic.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of Senate Bill 105 on third reading and final passage and ask for an aye vote.
Is there further discussion on Senate Bill 105? Are there any no votes? Senator Baumgardner, Senator Marble, with 33 ayes, 33 ayes, 2 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused. Senate Bill 105 is adopted. Co-sponsors: Senator Aguilar, Senator Newell, Senator Todd, Senator Guzman, Mr. Majors, please read the title of Senate Bill 64.
Senate Bill 64 by Senator Sonnenberg and Representative Becker, concerning limits of the basic tenets of Colorado water law placed on the ability of certain federal agencies to impose conditions on a water right owner in exchange for permission to use federal land.
Senator Sonnenberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move Senate Bill 64 on third reading and final passage.
Is there further discussion? Are there any no votes? Senator Aguilar, Minority Leader Carroll, Senator Heath, Senator Ulibarri, Senator Kafalis, Senator Merrifield, Senator Kerr, Senator Stedman, Senator Todd, Senator Jones, Senator Newell. Any no votes on Senate Bill 64? With 24 ayes, 11 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 64 is adopted. Co-sponsors: Senator Baumgardner, Senator Woods, Senator Crowder, Senator Marble, Senator Lambert, Senator Neville, Senator Roberts, Senator Lundberg, Senator Cook, Senator Grantham, Senator Scott, Senator Hill, Senator John. Co-sponsors. Mr. Majors, please read the title of Senate Bill 119.
Senate Bill 119 by Senator Sonnenberg and Representative Becker K. concerning continuation of the regulation of pesticide applications by the Department of Agriculture and in connection therewith implementing the recommendations of the 2014 Sunset Report by the Department of Regulatory Agencies.
Senator Sonnenberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move Senate Bill 119 on third reading and final passage. Ask for an aye vote.
Is there further discussion? Are there any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 119 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Mr. Majors, please read the title of Senate Bill 115.
Senate Bill 115 by Senator Hill and Representative Pabon concerning the sunset review of the medical marijuana programs.
Senator Hill.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I move Senate Bill 115 and ask for your support. I do want to say thanks again for all the debate, the discussion, the opportunity to work through on this. Really enjoyed Finance Committee and our discussion yesterday on the floor. I thought I was really deeply encouraged as the chance that this is where we can come together and make some good policy, so I do appreciate your support.
Is there further discussion on Senate Bill 115? Are there any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 115 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Senator Aguilar. General orders, second reading of bills. Senator Crowder.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate resolve itself from the Committee of the Whole for the consideration of general orders, second reading of bills calendar.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The Senate will resolve itself into the Committee of the Whole for the consideration of general orders, second reading of bills. Senator Crowder will take the chair.
The committee will come to order and the court rule is relaxed. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to SB 139?
Senate Bill 139 by Senator Hill and Representative Lee concerning allowing the Safe to Tell program to reveal the identity of a person who makes a fraudulent report and in connection therewith requiring a post-enactment review of the implementation of this act.
Senator Shuffle.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Move that Senate Bill 139 lay over to February 20.
There is a motion to lay over Senate Bill 139. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Majority Leader. Oh. Say it again. Mr. Majors, if you'd please read the bill number 097.
Senate Bill 97 by Senator Aguilar and Representative Landgraf concerning the eligibility of a supplemental needs trust to receive certain public employees' retirement association benefits.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members, I move Senate Bill 97 and the Appropriations Committee report.
If you would move committee reports.
The Appropriations Committee report, they took away the appropriations because the amount was so small and asked that the department do it within current allocated resources. And I'd ask for your support of the Appropriations Committee report.
Is there any discussion on this committee report? Seeing none, all those are in favor of the committee report, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. To the bill, Senator.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members, this bill was pulled off the consent calendar because I have an amendment which is on the desk. This is a bill that I worked on to help so that para-retirees could designate a supplemental needs trust as a co-beneficiary for their children who have special needs. Currently, they're not allowed to do that, and if they make a mistake and designate their child who then inherits the trust funds, they're at the risk of losing access to state benefits which help them to continue to live safely in the community. The amendment is because the initial bill as drafted had included, oh, sorry. Yes.
There is an amendment on the floor to the amendment. Senator Aguilar.
Thank you, members. I move Amendment L.
Mr. Majors, read the amendment, please.
Amendment L002 to Senate Bill 97 by
Senator Aguilar.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move Amendment L002.
To the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So what this amendment does is it removes spouses and dependent parents as possible trust beneficiaries, and this has to do with the fact that spouses and dependent parents need to have first-party trusts, which expire at age 65, and para cannot make contributions to a beneficiary and cut them off at age 65. So this narrows the bill down to just allowing para beneficiaries to designate benefits to their child through a special needs trust, and I ask for your support of L002.
Is there any discussion on this amendment? The motion before the body is to adoption of the amendment. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. Motion carried. To the bill, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I renew my motion for the adoption of Senate Bill 97 to allow para beneficiaries to designate a trust for their child who is disabled as their co-beneficiary, and ask for your support.
Any further discussion on this bill? Seeing none, the motion before the body is to the adoption of SB 097. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move the committee rise and report.
There's been a motion on the floor for rise and report. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Yeah, I got a...
From Representative Paul Rosenthal. Very close personal friend of mine. The Senate will come back to order.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee had met.
Excuse me. Senator Crowder.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee has met and had a number of bills under consideration. Mr. Majors, would you please read the report?
February 19, 2015, Mr. President, your committee of the whole basic report is under consideration of the following tax bill being second reading thereof, making the following recommendations thereon. Senate Bill 97 is amended, passed on second reading in order in gross place account for third reading, final passage. Senate Bill 139 laid over until February 20th, 2015, retaining its place on the calendar.
Senator Crowder.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of the report.
You have heard the motion from the extremely efficient Senator Crowder. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Actually, I think that's are there any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, the committee of the whole report is adopted. Senate Bill 1597, as amended, passed on second reading and ordered engrossed and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. Senate Bill 15139 laid over until February 20th and retaining its place on the calendar. Committee reports.
February 18, 2015, Committee on Judiciary, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 87 be amended as follows and also amended before the Committee of the Whole favorable recommendation.
Announcements. Senator Ulibarri.
Thank you, Mr. President. I request a moment of personal privilege.
Granted.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I have some guests with me in the chamber today. I have Housing Colorado with me, and I wanted to lift up some meritorious achievement of those folks who provide affordable housing in our state. The American Planning Association recently recognized the Denver Housing Authority for their redevelopment at the Mariposa Station as one of the top 10 neighborhoods in the country due to their mixed income housing development. So I wanted to thank them for being here, but lift up their special achievement. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Further announcements. Senator Kafalis.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, colleagues. I request a moment of personal privilege.
Granted.
Thank you, sir. Colleagues, many of you know that today is Human Trafficking Awareness Advocacy Day, and Senator Cook and I or the good gentleman from Greeley, we're planning to introduce House Joint Resolution 1013, but it appears that the House is delaying, is procrastinating, so we're not able to do that. But we did want to reference that today is Human Trafficking Awareness Day, that there's a brochure on your desk, and there's some activities starting at 11:30, some educational activities, and there's also a rally with speakers, including the Attorney General, to talk about this critical issue that's affecting a lot of our communities. So I hope you'll be mindful of that, and perhaps we'll be able to present the resolution tomorrow when the House gets its work done. Thank you.
Senator Cook.
Thank you, Mr. President. Human trafficking is probably one of the most dirtiest, nasty violations of human rights that we have. It preys on the most innocent and the most vulnerable in our society. So I would encourage everybody to read the pamphlet. It explains what human trafficking is, and a lot of people don't really know what it is. They don't understand it, and they like to ignore it. But please take a look at this and understand what it does to our victims. And so I encourage you to attend the rallies today, and I would like to thank my good senator from Fort Collins to also being one of the sponsors.
Further announcements. Senator Kafalis.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just to the rally this afternoon, 12:30 to 1:15, is in the West Foyer, and then there will be a presentation also in the West Foyer from 11:30 to 12:15. And the last thing I'll say on this, I just want to acknowledge the Human Trafficking Task Force of Southern Colorado. I think they're based out of Colorado Springs, and they've done a lot of work. This is our 4th annual Human Trafficking Awareness Day, and they should indeed be acknowledged and honored. Thank you.
Senator Baumgardner.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, you'll find on your desk that we will have our Sportsman's Caucus today downstairs. Lunch will be provided. Department of Wildlife will be on hand to put on a presentation, answer questions. That is from 12 to 1. Downstairs, committee room 112.
Senator Aguilar.
Thank you, Mr. President. And members, we're joined today as well by some certified registered nurse anesthetists, and these anesthesia specialists help take care of our patients before, during, and after surgery or OB procedures. They actually help us cover a lot of our rural hospitals, and I'd like you to join me in thanking them for their service, if they would rise.
We wish you had joined us before the debate. Senator Johnston.
Thank you, Mr. President. And if members are feeling footsteps coming close behind you this morning, that is because the building is full of gifted and talented students who will be soon taking over your seats. But in all seriousness, the Colorado Gifted and Talented Association is here today. I think many of us have students who are shadows for the day. An amazing chance. Oh, thank you. Wow, I thought you were gaveling me. I generally assume I've done something wrong.
That was for you, not.
I appreciate that, Mr. President. And so if you see them around, make sure and welcome them. They'll probably be on committees with us, so our dialogue will be heightened and more intellectually rigorous today than in days past. But welcome them and give them a tour, and we'll look forward to having them join the body today and joining the body in our seats before long. So thank you. If all those students who are here as part of today's Gifted and Talented Day, could you stand for a second, and we'll give you a round of applause. Welcome to your house.
Senator Johnson, that's for violating our rules, and I'm sure that's for something you deserve.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Further announcements? Further rule violations? Seeing none, Majority Leader Shuffle.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate adjourn to 9 a.m. Friday, February 20th.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The Senate will stand adjourned until 9 a.m. Friday, February 20th.